Hello, I'm Connor Mikula from Mimic, and this video is going to help you start to practice vibrato. Vibrato's that weird wavering that musicians do in the middle of their note to make it sound more beautiful. Vibrato is such a different thing from everything else that we do on the instrument that it's difficult to pinpoint a place to start practicing if we're going from no vibrato to wanting to do vibrato. So before we even do anything on the saxophone itself, I need you to say these syllables, E and ah. When you say E, your jaw should be up a little bit, and ah, it should drop a little bit. E, ah, E, ah, E, ah, E, ah. Vibrato is accomplished by moving the jaw up and down on the reed in a very small way to get that waver. So this E and ah is a way for us to be conscious of our jaw moving up and down. So now that we've got our E syllable and ah syllable down, let's bring it to the saxophone. You can do this on any note. I'm going to pick a middle C, but you want to use the E and the ah to get a waver in your saxophone sound. So you're hearing the top of the note, the E, and the bottom of the note, ah, and my sound is going E, ah, E, ah. This doesn't sound exactly like a professional vibrato yet. It's a little bit wider, but that's okay. At this point, we're just trying to get the basic motion of vibrato down. So once you have that motion down and you have a nice smooth waver in your sound, you want to put it to a metronome. I have mine set to quarter note equals 60. So we're going to take that same wavering with the E-ah, and we're going to put it in time to the metronome, still trying to get a very smooth wave between each motion. Once you have a nice smooth motion in time with the metronome, you want to up the speed of the vibrato with the metronome. So before we were doing half notes, now let's do quarter notes. And once we get that sounding good, we'll move on to eighth notes. Now, maybe triplets. And then maybe 16th notes after that. It's important to note that you shouldn't move on to the next speed of vibrato until you can get the one that you're at sounding nice and smooth. It's also important to note that when you put the E-ah with the metronome, you want the E to be at the top of the beat and the ah to be at the bottom. We don't want to start a vibrato on the ah because it'll sound scoopy, like instead of. A good way to practice the smoothness of our vibrato is to use a tuning app that will keep track of your pitch in real time. My personal favorite is the app Tunable. With this app, it draws a line for you where your pitch is so you can keep track of your vibrato and see an actual picture of it. Getting this line as smooth as possible is a great way to get to that smooth vibrato motion that we're trying to go for. Now, once you've worked on all of that, you should have a smooth E-ah on your saxophone, but it's still not quite at a vibrato. It would look kind of silly if you played something with that kind of vibrato, like. So what we do from there is adjust our E-ah to sound more like a professional vibrato. The best way to get an idea of a good vibrato sound in your ear so you know what to do is to listen to professionals who have very good vibrato. So these are some vibratos that I like on the screen right now. If you listen to them, you can kind of get an idea of how to shape and adjust your vibrato to try and sound more like them. Maybe your vibrato is too wide. Maybe it's too thin. Maybe it's too fast. Maybe it's too slow. These are all different ways that you can think of your vibrato and shape it into what you exactly want it to be. Don't be frustrated if this takes a long time. Moving from step to step and practicing a good vibrato takes a long time. I first learned vibrato maybe, 15 years ago. I'm still practicing and trying to improve it today. The process takes a little while, but if you stick with these steps, this is a great leaping off point for any student, saxophonist, or whoever to start practicing vibrato.